In the year 1100, Emperor Huizong of the Song Dynasty came to the throne. At that time, Bianjing, modern-day Kaifeng, had a population of around 1.56 million. By comparison, London had only about 10 to 20,000 people. Paris had just 20 to 30,000. It would take them centuries to reach the size Bianjing had already achieved. And this Chinese city? It already had paper money, 24-hour night markets, and a booming tea culture. European travelers described it as something out of a fairy tale. But here's the unbelievable part. Only 16 years later, this great global metropolis was all but destroyed. Today, we'll travel back to that peak moment, Bianjing in the year 1100. In just one day, we'll see how this city shone with a light that feels almost modern, and how, within just a few years, that brilliance collapsed. Hi everyone, I'm Justin. Thanks for tuning in to the very first episode of A Complete History of China. This season, we're exploring the Song Dynasty, and today's episode is A Day in Bianjing, Unveiling Song Dynasty Life. So, why are we starting our journey through Chinese history with the Song Dynasty? Because after thousands of years of development, Chinese civilization reached a major peak during this period. In politics, the economy, and the arts, the Song Dynasty stood at the very top. It shaped the values and cultural mindset that would define Chinese identity for the next 1,000 years. To understand modern China, you have to start here. In the episodes to come, we won't always follow a strict chronological order. Instead, we'll explore all of Chinese history, from prehistoric roots to dynastic shifts, from ancient society to the transformations of the modern era. If this sounds like your kind of content, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell. It's early morning in Bianjing, the capital of the Northern Song Dynasty, known today as Kaifeng. A light mist still hangs over the city. Outside the city walls, farmers are already busy irrigating their rice fields. They're growing Champa rice, a fast-growing strain that, supported by an advanced irrigation system, helped feed this massive city of several million people. At the canal docks, merchant caravans are unloading goods, porcelain, silk, and tea. In the streets, vendors are setting up their stalls. Some are steaming buns, others are cooking porridge. The warm, savory smells drift gently through the morning air. In the year 960, Zhao Kuangyin founded the Song Dynasty, what we now call the Northern Song. After several generations of emperors, by the time Emperor Huizong took the throne in 1100, the empire's economy and culture had reached a new peak, and Bianjing became its political, economic, and cultural heart. Two extraordinary historical sources, Zhang Zeduan's scroll painting Along the River during the Qingming Festival and Meng Yuanlao's book Dreams of Splendor in the Eastern Capital, vividly depict a city filled with wide streets, bustling crowds, entertainment halls, and vibrant markets. It felt like a modern metropolis, centuries ahead of its time. Meanwhile, most of Europe was still deep in the medieval era, its cities small, chaotic, and underdeveloped. Bianjing, by contrast, had well-planned roads, clean neighborhoods, and effective law enforcement. Its main streets could fit 10 horse carriages side by side. Residential blocks were organized into walled communities called jiangfang, much like today's gated districts. Believe it or not, Bianjing had its own fire safety system, complete with patrol stations and watchtowers keeping an eye on things 24/7. Guards were posted day and night, scanning the city for any sign of smoke. If a fire broke out, they'd beat drums or wave flags to alert everyone nearby. In many ways, this might have been the world's first urban firefighting team, 1,000 years ahead of its time. Bianjing's drainage and waterway system was surprisingly advanced. Canals, moats, ponds, and drainage ditches formed a multi-layered network that kept the city dry, even during heavy downpours. The design was so effective, it was later used in the Forbidden City during the Ming and Qing dynasties, which famously avoided any major flooding for hundreds of years. As Harvard historian John Fairbank put it, Song cities already showed the hallmarks of an early modern society. The Song Dynasty, in many ways, brought the dawn of modernity, 1,000 years ahead of its time. According to the Geography section of the official Song history, Bianjing had 260,000 households and around 1.56 million residents. Historian Jacques Journet described Bianjing's urban scale and administrative complexity as unmatched in the medieval world. Here's a question for you. What do you think the urbanization rate of the Song dynasty was? Stay tuned. We'll reveal it soon. The sun rises slowly, casting golden light on Jinglong Gate, one of the grand entrances of Bianjing. From a nearby academy, we hear students reading aloud in unison. Shops along the Bian River begin to open. The streets grow lively as vendors call out, offering silk, tea, and polished porcelain. Outside Daxiango Temple, the marketplace is already bustling. Not only are people trading goods, but also using a form of paper money called Jiaozi. It was the world's first state-backed credit currency. As commerce expanded, Jiaozi evolved into official, widely circulated money. While Europeans still relied on heavy gold and silver, Song merchants could complete large deals with just a piece of paper. The rise of Jiaozi boosted trade and services, like restaurants and night markets. It also attracted merchants from overseas, looking to buy Chinese silk, porcelain, and tea. Bianjing became more international than ever. To manage this booming street economy, the city introduced a smart solution, biaomu, or roadside stakes. These simple wooden markers showed exactly where vendors could set up their stalls without blocking traffic or interfering with daily life. In many ways, it was an early blueprint for modern urban management. The Yi Jianji records the story of Wang Liangzu. As a young man, he carried oil for a living, an ordinary street vendor. Over time, he saved enough to open a small shop. He and his wife worked hard, and life gradually improved. He earned trust in his neighborhood by being kind and reliable. Later in life, through donations or charitable acts, he received a minor official title, Gentleman of Loyalty. In the Song Dynasty, this kind of social mobility was not rare. It was an open, and prosperous era where hard work could change one's fate. And it was ordinary people like Wang who gave Bianjing its true character. So, here's another question for you. What do you think was the average GDP per person in Bianjing back then? Stick around. We'll reveal it soon. By midday, the streets of Bianjing were at their liveliest. From tea houses came the scent of freshly brewed leaves, for in the Song Dynasty, tea was more than a beverage. It was an everyday essential, one of the 7 necessities of opening the door. The people of Song had a particular love for diancha, or whipped tea. Ground into a fine powder and whisked with hot water using a bamboo brush, it created thick layers of foam, similar to the milk froth on modern lattes. Techniques like tea painting, competitive brewing, and tea duels turned this into a true art form. Japan's famous matcha culture likely traces its roots to this very tradition. Tea houses in Bianjing ranged from cozy neighborhood joints to upscale salons. Some featured live music, dancers, or even scholarly gatherings. They were the Starbucks and salons of their day, places to socialize, debate, and share news. And today's hottest topic, the Imperial Civil Service exam results had just been released. The Keiju exam system, refined in the Song era, gave commoners a real path into the ruling elite. Compared to medieval Europe, where power stayed in noble hands, this merit-based approach was nothing short of revolutionary. Even though passing rates were low, the hope of upward mobility drove countless young people to study. Bookshops flourished, and thanks to printing innovations, even merchants and craftsmen could afford basic Confucian texts. Bianjing became a magnet for these aspiring scholars, its academies and private schools brimming with hopeful minds. And this created a unique culture. In tea houses, on the street, in bookstores, scholars, merchants, artists, and even officials debated poetry, politics, and philosophy together. Emperor Huizong himself was a patron of the arts. A gifted painter and calligrapher, he created the iconic slender gold script, elegant and sharp like a blade. Under his reign, Bianjing became not just a political center, but a cultural capital that dazzled the world. We've passed the halfway mark. Thanks for being here. Your support keeps me going. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell. It truly makes a difference. As dusk falls over Bianjing, the city shows no sign of slowing down. Crowds still flow through the streets, and food stalls, restaurants, and grand taverns enter their second peak of the day. According to Dreams of Splendor in the eastern capital, tens of thousands of butchered pigs were delivered into the capital every evening, just to meet the daily demand of this massive population. This alone speaks volumes about the thriving food economy of Song China. Many high-end restaurants operated throughout the night, serving elaborate meals and house-brewed rice wine, often accompanied by live music and dance. At the renowned Sunyang Tavern, servers were known to carry stacks of 20 bowls at once. For those too busy to cook, the solution was simple: food delivery. Yes, takeout already existed in the Song Dynasty. Wealthy families sent servants to restaurants to pick up pre-ordered dishes. Even emperors in the palace used this to enjoy the flavors of everyday life, sharing in the joys of the people. And for the lower and middle classes, street food stalls and small eateries offered a quick and tasty solution. At places like Wu's Food Shop, freshly steamed buns, or Jiaozi, were served piping hot, filling both stomachs and hearts with simple, honest flavors. The famous fan tower rose 5 stories high, offering views over the palace district, combining fine dining with scenic grandeur. Dreams of Splendor of the Eastern Capital records that, within the capital, there were 72 zhengdian, high-end wine halls like Fan Tower. The rest, too many to count, were known as jiodian, the more common eateries. As night deepens, city security and lighting are handled by designated government offices, and even sanitation and drainage systems operate efficiently. To foreign travelers, this orderly, vibrant city must have seemed like a wonder from an Eastern tale. As night fully embraced Bianjing, the city came alive in a different rhythm. The glow of lanterns lit every street, alley, and riverside path. Shops, taverns, and tea houses remained open, some until dawn. The heart of the night belonged to entertainment. The most iconic were the Wash and Gulan, public performance houses unique to the Song era. Inside these bustling venues, audiences packed in for non-stop shows, storytelling, shadow plays, puppet theater, acrobatics, comic skits, and early forms of opera. The biggest venues, like the famed Elephant Pavilion, could hold thousands. The Dreams of Splendor in the Eastern Capital records more than 10 wash in Bianjing, but the actual number was likely even greater. With food stalls outside and actors performing in rotating shifts, these were the nightclubs, cinemas, and theaters of their day, rolled into one. Song society was remarkably open-minded about nightlife. Men and women, rich and poor, officials and commoners, everyone gathered here. The arts flourished, and the city's pulse beat loudest under moonlight. In a time when most of the world's cities went dark and silent after sunset, Bianjing was a luminous exception. Earlier, we asked 2 questions. Now, here are the answers. First, how urbanized was Song China? By the Northern Song period, urban residents made up 20.1% of the total population. With an estimated population of 100 million, over 20 million people lived in cities. During the Southern Song, this figure rose to 22.4%, and according to Yoshinobu, Shiba urbanization may have reached 30% at its peak. For comparison, urbanization in mid-Qing China was only 7%, and it didn't rise to 10% until the Republic of China era. According to the geographical records in the history of the Song Dynasty, there were nearly 50 cities during the Song period with populations exceeding 100,000. Song China's level of urbanization far surpassed other Chinese dynasties and led the world at the time. Second, what was Bianjing's per capita GDP? According to economic historian Angus Madison, the Northern Song accounted for 22% to 30% of the world's GDP, making it the largest economy on the planet. Average per capita GDP was about $550 international dollars in 1990 terms, which equals about $1,375 in 2024. For Bianjing, per capita GDP likely exceeded $2,500 to $3,500, a level London didn't reach until the mid-19th century. But in 1127 AD, the Jurchen army stormed Bianjing, capturing Emperors Huizong and Qinsong, the event known as the Jingkang Incident. This magnificent city, admired around the world, fell into ruin overnight. Yet the flame of civilization did not die. The Southern Song rebuilt in the south, with Linyan rising in splendor. The spirit and wisdom of the Song people continued to propel Chinese civilization forward. Why did such a prosperous city as Bianjing fall into ruin in just a few short years? In the next episodes, we will return to the founding of the Song Dynasty and delve into the deeper issues of its military, diplomacy, and political system to uncover the truth behind this historical tragedy. Stay tuned for the next episode of A Complete History of China. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Central Land Insights. I'm Justin. See you next time.
一生最终是家眷，功名利禄放两边，红尘不过一眨眼，唯有世事难。